So I said I was going to change my shirt. I lied. I am going to change my shirt, but this is just something that's going on right now that everybody needs to know about how dirty this is. If I was an actual, like, had my own kids in elementary and junior high and things like that, I would be absolutely rabid about military recruiters in our school messing with young minds and enticing them with $3,000 to join the National Guard. That's what we're going through. Our son's 17. He just turned 17 in this past December. And so they told my wife that if she'd sign over permission, which is basically signing permission for him to be emancipated, if she'd sign over permission, he wouldn't go to boot camp until he graduated, which would be next summer. So Friday is the day that he's emancipated, and he's actually in the National Guard. Today, this morning, I find out they're calling 300,000 troops up from the United States. Where do you think those troops come from first? The National Guard. They have now changed his boot camp to this summer, before he graduates. I told my wife that means he'll probably go in February, because they'll have a big spring offensive around February. He'll go sometime first of the year, if we're still here, and we're not going to be for sure. But like I told you about the military, what I think's happening here is Satan's army gathering around him. There is going to be a lot of war, and there's a lot of people going to die, but they're gathering around there. So anyway, my wife wrote a text back to the recruiter. You lying sack of, she let her have it. And I'm sure she's not the first parent. $3,000 to 17-year-old that's already thinks he can have the world, doesn't see any of this happening. He don't even know we're going to war, and he's joining the National Guard because they promised him a safe position. Y'all know what happens. You go to the front lines. The Army is the National Guard. They're the ones on the front lines. Sorry, I'm bad about shaking my knee when I sit still, so see what happens because I'm holding my phone? It has this cool little vibration. It's almost like I'm doing a frequency and I'm bringing you in. But that was goofy. But she let her have it. So she's probably going to come back. We're not going to war and all this stuff. So my wife wants me to get on speakerphone and tell her all the facts of every country that is called up in Europe about Latvia. I always mess up saying the name, and I told my wife how to say it this morning. Latvia, or I say it wrong every time. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's over in Europe. It's down in the Baltics. They're telling their people to dig bunkers in the backyard. I mean, this is going on in places like Finland. And I mean, when has Sweden been involved in a war? They're always neutral. Did y'all know that Sweden is rumored? Now, this is a rumor that you can find a lot of strange coincidences, if you know what I mean. But there is a rumor. In the Bible, it talks about where the seat of Satan is. Well, that would be where CERN is. It's over the Temple of Apollo. And part of that's in Sweden. And part of that's in France. But they say Sweden has more nukes than anybody in the world, even Israel. But yet they've always been neutral. There's a reason for that, I guess. I guess we're seeing that happen right in front of our eyes. If nukes are even real, they're telling us Hiroshima has goats and deer with 3 heads and a tumor growing out of its rear end. But then Hiroshima and Nagasaki have well over 1 million people apiece living there, and they were both hit with atom bombs, nuclear bombs. To me, nuclear bombs may be nothing more than a huge hydrogen bomb. That's just my opinion, because we know the films they have of the nuclear explosions, and Hiroshima and Nagasaki are worse than the moon landing. People that believe that, they really need to be checked out. They don't have any excuse. Who was holding the camera? It's not like they had closed caption TV back then. Just ask yourself that. Why didn't the camera shake? And who was holding the camera? Same thing with the first man on the moon. Who was holding the camera? Monkey Works said that, and he's one of the agents. I mean, he's one of them. There's no doubt about it. If you don't believe me, ask yourself where they're leading you. Are they leading you closer to Jesus? Or are they leading you closer to a revolution, a new America, Trump coming back into office? If they're leading you in that direction, then get away from them as far as believing anything they have to say about Scripture, because their eyes are not open. I mean, Monkey Works, I knew he was an agent because he denied weather modification up till recently, just in the last year or so. Before that, he said that we were completely wrong about it. Now he's finally admitting to the barium, strontium, and aluminum. He's never said anything about the fetal cells or why they have depleted blood cells. Why? Why do you need depleted blood cells? I mean, I'm sure they do something in their little magic potion they've worked out to spray on us and control the weather, because they feed these things and then they psych them up with the Dopplers. But I'm getting to rambling again. So this point of this was just to tell you about Johnny. So if y'all would pray for my wife and pray for Johnny. I think this is going to run its course, and when I was his age, I needed something to humble me, and I think we all do when we're 17. So if y'all would pray for him and pray for my wife, because if we're here, this is going to be really hard for her. I don't have any kids, but I can empathize even though I can't sympathize. So it makes me sad to think about her being sad. So if y'all would pray for her, because when she's everything she is, it ends up affecting me. Like if she's depressed, I get depressed. I'm depressed, she gets depressed. If she's sad, I get sad. If she's happy, I get happy. I mean, we feed off of each other constantly, which can be awesome, and it can be really hard at times. I turned on a Ty Green video, and it reminded me that they launched the Minuteman II the other night on the 4th, because I was talking about the launch they're doing tonight. All right, the launch they're doing tonight is at 12:01 a.m. on 666. That's a 13 and a 666, just like with the water. If it wasn't for the sheer lunacy of launching an attack on Russia, I mean, that's just lunacy to me. I mean, if they even say they did that and try to convince us of that, that is, I'm sorry for that light, that is mind-blowing. That is absolutely mind-blowing to think about. But anyway, I was just curious, like, how far is it from the west coast of the United States to Russia? Because the Minuteman launch, they said it went over 4,000 miles. I forget the exact number. There's probably numerology in that. Like I say, I recognize it real good, even though I don't use it. Even though I got an octopus on my hat, because it's got a portal too. No, someone gave me the hat. I don't care. No one knows what's inside but God and me. So anyway, I look it up, how far it is from the west coast to Russia. Guess what Google tells me? Of all the things it could tell me. Now, this is from Alaska to Russia, but still, why would it tell me this with that question? Because the West Coast, it knows I'm not talking about Alaska. That's not the West Coast. Yes, it's on the west, but that's not the West Coast of the United States. Continental United States. So I type in how far is it from the United States to Russia. Guess how far it is. 3,036 miles. Why would Google tell me 3,036 miles? So there really could be an attack at 12:01 a.m. tonight. I don't remember whether that was Eastern time or Pacific time, but there really could be an attack, because we've got double confirmations on the numerology. I don't use numerology, and I don't believe God's using their numerology either, even if it's against them. They use numerology. I have just gotten to where I'm good at seeing it in the propaganda. I'm good at seeing it in the news. I genuinely notice it when it's in an advertisement. I've gotten really good over the years. I've been doing this a long time. I mean, it's not like I started in 2020 when I saw the roll up your sleever come around. I mean, I was telling people in December of 2019 the roll up your sleever was coming. I didn't know the lockdown was coming, but I knew the roll up your sleever was coming. Now, I knew by the end of January it was going to be locked down. I think pretty much everybody had figured that out. But I saw the roll up your sleever coming. And I warned everybody, and everyone called me crazy. It's not the mark of the beast, and it's not the mark of the beast, but it is part and parcel leading to the mark of the beast.